Welcome back to the Gift of Gab podcast, season 1, episode 5. I am your host, Gab, and I'm back after a short little stint where I needed to adult and take some time off to just deal with some shit. Today, I get to kind of caveat off of my last episode when I had participated in my best friend's wedding. So, if you listen to the previous episode, I did speak kind of about meeting new people and building connections. Well, to give a little bit of insight, my guest today, I actually met at my best friend's wedding, and he is a veteran from the US Navy. He served for 10 years. He is a videographer, photographer, and a bunch of other media things in the Houston and surrounding areas. Let's introduce Derek Norman. Hello there.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Had a pretty eventful day. We
Yes,
got we got to experience his craft, and I got to do some shoots, some
yes, you did.
pictures. Oh my God. That was my first time getting back in that saddle. Uh Probably, yeah, BC, since before child. I
Wow.
exactly. It's been that long since I've been photographed like professionally.
Use that BC.
Oh yeah, I always tell people, I'm like, oh man, you don't understand. That was BC. That was 2020, 2014, 2010 BC. They're like, oh, what's BC? Before child.
Awesome. Yeah, that was really, really fun today.
Yes, I
Except for the
loved it.
last 15 minutes. We'll have to tell that story.
It's an inside when I do choose to post that one picture, I will definitely put the background story on it. Well, I wanted to have you on today because I really honestly loved how we just kind of really built this cool connection in a way. And probably in addition to, of course, me being a stranger to everyone, I had kind of already knew bits and pieces of like everybody aside from like the band and you at the wedding. Just through conversation and like chat with all of the other bridesmaids. But it was really funny to just kind of have that solo conversation with you. And I'm like, uh, he's pretty cool. This guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, so I was the weddings photographer. So I was kind of all over the place.
To say the least.
But I knew almost everyone there except for you. You were like the person I met there. Everyone else was either, all common friends and everything. Like that band had played my birthday party 2 weeks before. So,
Happy honeys. I love them. Shout out to Paco, my other new friend.
hey Paco, I'm still 21. Too many inside jokes. Everyone's like, what is
That wedding in its own, I had, in previous episodes, I've spoke about building that community and building that your tribe, really. Those people that help support you and lift you up and, really kind of help you get out of those gloomy days. The one thing that I really loved about meeting, and you, like you said, you knew everybody there aside from me. So, me getting to meet these people prior to the wedding, it was really nice because, I mean, going through the list, there was Brittany, Kat, Steph, Jordan, wifey's sister, Heather. I think, oh, and Kayla, I knew Kayla from college though, but all of the others were completely new to me. And even then, Kayla and I really didn't know each other. It was that when I would go visit wifey at her apartment, she shared it with Kayla. Kayla was always just, to herself though. But that's, where my first introduction was with her, meeting everybody at the bachelorette party, going into that it was really nerve-wracking for me in a way because I'm not over the time, I guess COVID really kind of put me back in my shell. So I'm, I like to stick to myself and like a lot of loud noises, and I always worry that I'm not everybody's cup of tea, if that makes sense. Like, and there was so much estrogen, you know. There's just so much women testosterone in that room.
Especially in that group. And
I
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that in a way because I absolutely love all those ladies. They're so many of them are good friends of mine. So I say that as a compliment, but
I went in there
it's a powerful
worried,
group.
worried that like I wasn't going to get along with them for some reason, like they were going to hate me. Like I went in there thinking the worst, and all I remember was now I understand why wifey chose each and every one of y'all.
Hmm.
I'm like, I get it now. I was like, I ain't got no worries. And then all of us just it was like it was like instant best friends for all of us. Like Taylor Swift, friendship bracelets all around.
Swifties.
Yes, we were Swifties for sure. But the energy and the really like it, they were all girls, if that makes
Oh
sense.
yeah.
Like I have never, and I'm a complete fucking stranger to these people. I have never felt so supported in my life. Like, I'm not even trying to down my friends I have now, but complete strangers. And it was just like, oh my God, y'all are like a bra. Y'all are like a maxi pad. Like, y'all, y'all are clutch.
Oh yeah, dude. I said that there's no way, yeah, there's no way you're gonna like you were gonna walk into that and with that particular group of people not have it all just work. Like there's just no hate in that group of people.
Hearing the stories,
Honestly.
even you've told me, I love the sense of community that y'all have built. It really is that y'all have all kind of become like a second family to each other.
Really, 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 really have. There's times in my life I wouldn't have gotten through as well as I did without some of the people in that room at that wedding. So yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you actually photograph, in addition to the wedding for wifey, you photograph several of the people who were in the wedding. They have bands, and
Yeah.
you are their photographer as well.
Yeah, I've done a lot of photography for a lot of people in that room. I won't say I'm their photographer because there's a lot of photographers in town, but I've definitely done a lot of work with several of the people there, particularly Heather's husband Brandon, his band. I've not only photographed them a lot, but I've actually traveled around Texas with them and photographed them here, San Antonio, Austin and Corpus. We won't talk about that one. And then yeah, Cat's band, I photographed them. I videoed Cat's previous band, Parabellum. That's how we met many, many years ago. So yeah, that's I've pointed cameras at a lot of people in that room.
And for the Gab Nation, one of our friends, Kat, is an amazing singer. She is actually the lead singer of the band Lunara, streamable on Spotify and Apple. And Brandon's band is
Kerosene Shores.
Kerosene Shores. I need to check that one out. I've definitely heard Lunara, but I'll have to check out Kerosene Shores. I was gonna say, are they on Spotify or Apple too?
I don't remember. I'm not good with the streaming platforms too much. I generally listen through like YouTube and that, but I'm pretty
Oh,
sure I
okay.
know they have singles out, probably on all the streaming services.
Nice. Okay, I'll have to definitely check those out.
I'm bad with it because the only one I use for streaming is Spotify, and I know I find them on there. So definitely Spotify.
Oh, okay. Perfect. I at least have to definitely check that one. So, going to the beginning of your timeline of your story, what kind of was your moment where you're like, I really liked taking photos? like you liked the idea of like I guess photography and what it had
It
behind it.
was I left Houston for a few years and I came back in 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, and kind of when I years ago, many years ago, when I would shoot video of bands and stuff live, that's how I kind of got started with cameras in general. There wasn't as many people doing it, and like there like the technology was different, at least with what people in town
Agreed.
had. And um, Uwe come back, and there's some, and I shall say it, there's people doing video now that is way beyond what I was doing. And I'll say that and I'll promote the hell out of all of them. So it was just kind of one of those things where I wasn't sure what I was doing. I was actually looking to upgrade to catch up to them, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and I was out looking for equipment and stuff, and I was at the camera store looking at their used stuff because I'm looking to.
There's nothing wrong with,
Uh,
finding the treasures.
I'm all about used used stuff. Um, and still, almost everything I have now for still photography, I got secondhand. I don't care.
A deal's a deal.
The deal's a deal. If I can get $1,000 lens for $300 because it's used, I'm
Winning.
So I was at the store and there was a Canon 5D that was affordable, and it was it's one of those things when you're buying something and there's a quote unquote defect like the missing cap or whatever, the price goes down even further. But then it's like, okay, I'll buy that, and instead of a cap or something, I'll just buy this 50 millimeter lens that's also in the used section. And
So is a Canon 5D, like I have, like a Canon Rebel
mhm.
T7. So is that like better than
Yeah,
that?
yeah, 5D is it's a DSLR with full frame, and
Oh,
it's
gotcha. Okay.
so it's yeah, it's a little
So it's
higher
more high
end
techy.
than. What's funny is I also now have a Rebel T6 that funny enough, I bought from your wifey.
A.
That actually I use that body more than the quote unquote better body, mainly because it's easier in certain situations to pull that one out and work with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just ended up buying that one body, and then of course I have a lot of friends who are photographers, so I just start picking their brains and learning because there is, well, there's a lot of things that carry over, and there's a lot of people that do both video, and a lot of people assume that if you do one, you automatically do the other. No,
Mhm.
there's things that carry over and things that don't. So I like this when people ask about that, without getting too technical, I say there's difference in creating drama with a moving image than there
Mhm.
is creating drama with a single frame.
I get that.
So, there's a different eye, I guess you could say, for it.
Mhm.
At least that's how I describe it. And technically, there's things that you have to pay more attention to in one that you don't in the other, and vice versa. So I started picking my still photographer friends' brains, and just learning. And it's just kind of one of those things where I really love this. I think I love this more than doing the other. So instead of focusing on upgrading to catch up with all the other videographers in town who had gone way ahead of me since I had been doing it years ago, um, instead of focusing on, oh God, I gotta get all my stuff up to 4K now, and I ended up focusing the other direction and just going still photography and learning, and I learn every day.
Kind of honing in more on your
Yeah.
craft.
There's things I figured out today. I was like, oh, learned something new
Agreed.
while we were shooting today. It's just,
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, exactly.
so yeah, it's something I just fell and I just love the editing process, and it's something I can also make people really happy. Let's
Hmm.
face it, most people aren't waking up every day going, I need a new video of myself.
I don't know.
Some people, I mean, there's
I'm on some people
when
because
you're in
that's
a
in my head sometimes.
when you're in certain fields that you're working in, yeah.
Exactly.
But when people are saying, let's say they have a new baby and they want
Mm.
to get photos done, they're not usually thinking, hey, we need to bring a videographer in here to shoot a video of the baby. No, it's usually photos. So I feel like there's a lot of things I was never in touch with doing video. Plus, I don't know. It's just something that you can charge less for
Yeah.
and get more hits on because you can look for all the work in the world, but when people are coming to you, it's a lot easier to have
Oh.
something new. Oh, I want to try this, and that's it. I want to photograph this, and I'm thinking I've never done that before.
So what have you done? Have you so I know of course photos as far as like bands and weddings. What other things have you photographed?
Uh, Weddings. This was like, well, your wifey's. That was actually my first wedding job.
Oh, cool. Do you have any other
I've been looking for wedding jobs, and then I
Okay, so
just
it is something you want to definitely pursue.
right. It's a it's nice to be part of that.
The whole feeling is
The whole feeling of
nice,
like it was. You're there to work, and again,
but you're just all up in their feelings too. It's
right.
nice. It's just to be a part of the vibe.
And of course, this is also a friend's wedding, so I'm all
Yeah.
excited to be part of that. But just in general, you're part of a different kind of vibe with a wedding. And of course, yeah, live shoots are have been the thing I've done the most of, and it's a good thing because they're the hardest to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things if you and get good photos of people while
Oh yeah.
lights are flashing and there's strobes and everything, and you can find a way to get that locked in, and then all of a sudden you have to go, oh goodness, you want me to shoot outside? Oh, that's not hard. Comparatively, when it's one of those things where okay, I learned in the hardest environment, so now it's like, oh, now I'm going to go here where I can control the light. Okay.
Well, that was kind of, today posing for the photos. I was trying to kind of think about it how my old theater teacher was. She would forever tell us when we would, because in acting, of course, and performing on stage, you you have to look at the audience like you're a TV set, like
Hmm.
this is the people out here. And anytime like we would start turning our backs or she's like, we can't see you. You're out of frame. We can't see you. You got to turn around.
Right.
And certain things just stuck with me over time. So, while you were trying to, direct and, do different suggestions and then change lenses, I'm like, okay, wait, no, none of this. No, I can't. No, fuck.
I got to clarify one thing because I know some photographers out there would probably want to kick me for saying it. Shooting outside isn't necessarily easy. I didn't mean it that way. It's just
No.
the adjustments I have to make on the fly. There's not as much of that outside as there is in like a music venue where one song they light it all in red, and the next song they give you strobes. But outside today it was a fairly sunny day, and it was fairly sunny the whole time we were shooting. So once I got locked in, I could just shoot the whole without making many changes. So that's what I meant by that. It's like okay, versus making changes all throughout the entire thing. But yeah, it's fun. Like you were even saying today how it looked like I was just having fun shooting it,
Exactly.
and that's a to be honest, I've found that joy in still photography more than I found in anything before.
So you correct. I want to make sure I heard it right. So you've only done it for the past 3 years total?
About 3 years, 2 to 3 years.
Wow.
I can't remember what day I bought that camera, and I can go back through the old photos. The first times I brought it out, and I'm like, ooh.
But did you ever want to do it as a kid? Was it ever something that you kind of like would look at things and be like, oh, like that actually looks like a really good picture, or like have it in the back of your head, like, oh, that looks nice. Like, did you have an eye for certain things growing up, or was it kind of like something you learned as you got older, you know?
I think it's something as I got older. I admired great photography when I was a kid.
Okay.
I did a lot of drawing and painting when I was a kid, so I was more of that kind of artist.
More of that creative
And
artistic.
I
Got
was
it.
also playing instruments and things like that. So I always doing something.
There was
And
always something within the creative
right.
field realm. Got it.
But
Cool.
I was also a film nerd, so that's where the video thing came in. So I was always about learning how movies were made. And I, with video, I was an editor before I ever filmed it. The only reason I started picking up cameras was because if I didn't make something to edit, I didn't have anything to edit.
I get that.
I studied film, like the editing and effects process first. So it's kind of one of those things, everything kind of happened backwards. I kind of backwards my way to photography It feels like I started way over here and then ended up over here, and now this is like my favorite thing I've ever done. So it's
I know what you mean all too well because being in, growing up from kid to teenager to early, adult, we actually learned, I did theater arts. I even started college with theater arts, then changed it to radio, TV, film, communications, where we got to kind of do a radio station. We got to do a recording studio, like for a news, and we got to put, I know I'm not describing it right, but like we got to push it to where which camera it would feed to, and run through the check of all of the communications, making sure audio and visuals were all, good to go. And uh, it really kind of helped me to understand, while I liked the performing arts things of that part of my creativity, I didn't really want to perform on stage as far as an actress goes, more than I liked the idea of talking. And I guess my sarcasm really got me after a while. And it just made stand-up comedy really like, ooh, I want to do that. But then of course I always wanted to still kind of do a show type thing, since that's what I really liked. And I don't know, my podcast kind of just always came up to head. But it was always something that I wanted to do when I was younger, and it just really felt it fed that serotonin. Do you get that feeling
yeah,
from taking pictures? Like, is that
exactly. It's that's exactly what it is. I get this. Like right now, as we were talking today, I got like several active editing
yeah, you were saying.
folders going because of all the shoots I've done the last couple of weeks, and I like being in that position. It's like I'm gonna get home and I'll be like, hey, I got work to do, but it's also not really work because I just love doing it. So it's like if I don't have something to work on, that's when life feels wrong.
No, exactly. And for you, how would I say? Would you say you received a lot of support when you kind of, started coming out to your close ones that you wanted to do photography? Do you still have that same support with them from when you first started to now?
Yeah, I do. That's I don't know if anyone knew I was serious about it. I didn't even know if I was serious about it right off the bat. It's just I had the cameras and I was trying some things out and talking to people. Like my friend Georgia, I literally just she came into a show one day and we barely knew each other, but she was a photographer and I just grabbed her and said, hey, what lens you normally shoot with? 'Cause I've been shooting with the one I bought when I bought the camera. Like,
Yeah.
is there something else I need? Like, I liked what it gave me, but I was like, is this the wrong way direction to be going? And then she's like, I mainly use the 50 mil, and I was like, oh, okay, good. I'm on the right track. But that I just again picking brains, and all of a sudden, once it became, oh, I can do this, and people are like actively like, that was a really good set of photos I saw and stuff like that. It's like, you know what? Kind of liking this, and I just kept focusing on it, and all of a sudden, that was what I was doing most of my time. I don't think I don't think I realized it was serious until it had already been serious for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was the same with a lot of people around me because I was, a lot of people see me try a lot of projects. Like I still got a bunch of short films I want to work on. And my friend Matt, we talk about doing it. I always get like just a little bit of distance in, and then I don't keep going. But then again, my focus has been so much on still photography. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, oh, but I still want to get them done.
It's hard
But
to pull away sometimes.
yeah, and I still want to get them done, but also had writer's block and some other stuff. But
Oh, I understand that all too well. I've been writing the comedy skit for the better part of this year. I mean, I had started it previous years, but I've of course been kind of putting more pen to paper this year, and the writer's block is real.
mm-hmm.
But staying on your short films, I definitely want to touch on that. You directed and created a short film that you entered into a film contest?
It was actually a full length film.
A full length
It
film.
didn't. It
God,
didn't.
my bad.
Yeah. No, I was. I had submitted it for entry in some film festivals. It hasn't gotten in. And but the critiques have been fair. I'll be honest. It's a full length, feature length documentary.
How long is it?
95 minutes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's and it's a. I guess it's you could say it's a topic that I think the film has a sort of it has an audience of of people who have been through certain things.
Hmm.
And I think if someone's not of that audience, they don't necessarily get why they had to watch a 95-minute movie about it. That's kind of what I got from the critiques I've gotten, which is the people, its intended audience, so to speak,
Hmm.
get it. And then it was the same thing with the critics sites that reviewed it. If someone was part of that target group,
Hmm.
it's like it was a 5-star movie. But if they weren't, then it was a 3 out of 5.
And I would like to definitely touch on it if you're okay with
Yeah,
that.
that's fine.
So for the Gab Nation, uh, hit Derek's short film actually consisted of the topic of suicide and mental health struggles and really the arduous journey of getting through it and getting past it and rising really kind of rising above your demons.
Yep.
um I know, it's a little trigger warning for people, but I mean, if you're willing to talk about it a little bit, I would really love to hear kind of like how you overcame your battles.
Yeah. Well, the movie is literally about it's
Is that
not
a title?
it's called Reclamation.
Reclamation.
And it's about reclaiming your life after you come up from rock bottom. So the movie isn't about suicide in particular. It's about any kind of rock bottom, really. In my case, that's what I was going with, was talking about. But really, just anything that brings you all the way to the bottom, you got to climb your way back out. Okay, now that you've climbed your way back out, now what do you do? So
Hmm.
that was where I focus. It doesn't focus on the negative side. Of focus on, okay, now we're in the positive. Let's push that.
It
But
always
yeah,
has that innuendo in the back
right.
of being from this.
And it was intended for people who are going through or have been through or are getting close to going through that. So I get where somebody who maybe hasn't been or hasn't had family members or whatever in that kind of situation may not find the entertainment slash value in
Hmm.
it as much as somebody who has, like, the first review I got back from the critic emailed me and said I had to take a break.
Hmm.
I didn't know what she meant right away, but I found out later it was because it hit her hard.
It
It hit
impacted.
home.
She had, yeah.
So I like hit it right in the, right in the spot. So she had to take a break before she wrote it out. And it was a beautiful review. And it was like, oh, okay, that's a good start. But then another reviewer was like, kind of like had the I don't get it.
Got
But
it. But
but
because they didn't really understand, possibly, I
right.
guess.
So they gave it a 3 out of 5 because they said it's well made. The person obviously, and they actually said he obviously cares about the topic and he clearly knows about the topic, but it obviously didn't hit them. So I get it.
Hmm.
It's a intended audience kind of thing. And then when doing the film fest thing, it was hey, they felt it would have been better as a short form because again, 95 minutes. And I get it, but it was one of those things where if I could go back and re-edit from the original, I probably would have gone a little shorter.
Hmm.
But and still gotten the point across. At the time, my mindset was I'm going to go into this raw and I'm going to go into it unchecked.
Hmm.
Which most people, when they're directing a film, the last thing you ever want to hear is they're going unchecked.
Hmm.
It's
Yes.
true. There's a film, and I'm not gonna, nah, I should name it.
Name it.
It's called Carnage Radio. The
Carnage
director,
Radio.
it's not out yet. It's in the film fest circuit,
Come on, name it.
but I remember the director was telling me at the film fest, like his original cut was really long,
Mm.
but when you make something, you have trouble cutting up your baby. It's
Very true.
that
Very
I
true.
filmed this. I want this to be the way I pictured it, kind of thing. But his assistant editor kind of re-edited it and got it down to a more um, manageable length without losing anything in
Yeah.
terms of the movie works. And he said that it works. It works better this way. So having that extra set of eyes changed it. Yeah, the movie's phenomenal, by the way. Whenever it comes out streaming or whatever, and you get a chance to see it, go see it. But yeah, I looked back because this was after I'd already been told, hey, the length and make this, it's kind of too much, kind of thing. And I looked, I was like, maybe I could have come back a little bit. But at the time, all I thought was, if I'm going to get through to people, if I'm going to touch the people I need to be seeing this, I don't want to ever look like I edited myself.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be me raw.
Genuine, yeah.
If I choke while I'm recording the narration, then the choke is still in it.
Mm-hmm.
The only time I re-recorded was if I completely botched it to the point where it was on. It was like if I just lost it, yeah, I re-record. But if I just had a little choke, a little pause, whatever, I left it in there. So so there's a lot of reasons I did a lot of talking at the camera. And again, if I was trying to get a point across that if I'd written it in advance, it might have been 2 minutes versus 6 minutes of talking. But if I wrote it and I was just reciting what I wrote, it wouldn't get the
It wouldn't
same.
have been as genuine
I wanted
or
to be like
authentic.
everything you're seeing is raw. Period. I wanted to be able to claim that
Mm-hmm.
and be that. But now I look back, I'm like, I probably could have still been that, but pulled it back a little bit and maybe not had. Okay, I used my friend's song in this driving scene. Maybe I didn't have to use the whole song,
Mm-hmm.
but it was my friend's song, so that's good. So there's a little bit of that, and I'm like, but I still don't think it would have been a short film. I think it may have been 85 instead of 95
You're like,
minutes.
I would have just taken out,
But that may
just
have helped.
opening the doors and getting out of the cars.
Yeah, that may. I'm not gonna lie. I shot some stuff that I just loved it and put it in. I'm like, maybe that was a bit much. Maybe that little scene I did for a little bit of comedic relief, just to kind of break the tension.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that was a little bit too long. It's like I can look at it now and go, yeah, maybe I could have put that. So yeah, it's one of those things where it didn't get the reach I wanted because of things that I stubbornly was not going to let go
Mm-hmm.
of, and that's on me. But
Every director has their
yeah,
thing.
it's learning. But I don't regret anything because again, I know when I watch it, I know when someone else watches it, that's me at my raw. It's just being raw. I use that word a lot, but that's the best way to describe it. I wanted my approach to it to be like you're poking at a nerve,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Definitely pull the string.
yeah, it's like there's an exposed nerve, and it's getting
Mm.
poked, and
Yeah, of course. You
that's what
wanted to get in on that, like rip the scab open and just
it's there's an infamously great and yet funny in its own way interview in it where my friend Matt, who was a huge part of everything in my own recovery, he was going to be one of the main interviews, and again, I just wanted him to talk. I didn't really give him any questions really. It was just talk about what you saw happen to me, like just go. And one night we were at, it was a Halloween event, it was a Halloween concert, and he was dressed up as a vampire.
okay.
This is at the end of my first year back in Texas, and he just came up to me at like 2 in the morning. He's like, "I'm ready now." We've been
Oh, that's right. That was that
yeah,
episode that you did.
yeah.
Got it. I
We've
remember
been
that.
we've been drinking and everything that he's like, "I'm ready." So we went out in the parking lot. At the time, I had a van, built Toyota Sienna that
Mhm.
I no longer have. I opened up the hatch in the back. He sat in the hatch and he just talked for like 10 minutes. And, but that's how we got it. But you know, again, it was in the moment. He just said, I'm ready. It was time. And was it wild that all of a sudden the movie cuts to an interview with a vampire sitting in the back of a van? Yeah,
It
but it was real.
was, yeah.
It was real. You know what I mean? And I didn't cut much out. It was very much, it was most of it was left intact. So again, it was the, I said that when I was talking to Paul, who runs the film fest in
Hmm.
Huntsville, Texas. Um, and he was like, "Hey, Kay, you know, this is what the board said about the movie," and I agree. I was like, "Yeah," but you know, I stick by my guns that I kept it real and raw, and that's how it turned out. And you know, looking back, I'm like, you know, maybe I could have gone a little different, but at the time, again, stubborn me, it's raw. That's what I wanted. It is what it is.
For the vine.
You know, and then it's funny because later at that same film fest, I had a talk with the director from Crimes Radio, James Pike, and um, I'm like, and he's talking about the re-edit process with the assistant editor, and I'm like, I wonder what would have happened if I had another like really good editor come in and look at my cut
Hmm.
and maybe find a way to turn that down a little bit without losing what I was not wanting to lose,
Of course.
right? You know, but because their heart's in a different place than mine. Mine is I spent
This is
six
your
months
baby. You don't
pointing
want
a
to cut it
camera
up.
at myself. I'm not. But no, I still there's no regrets on that. It's the first time I had some people I didn't know messaging me saying that the movie helped them correct their life. I was like, that's all I needed. Because I said at the beginning, if it helped one person,
It did its job.
then it did its job, and it helped more than one. So I gotta be happy with
How long ago did you make the movie?
that. It was started in started in 2021,
Got it. Okay.
and yeah, it was finished in 2022. I think. I don't remember the exact dates, but somewhere in there.
Oh, okay.
It's funny when I watch it now because even my own mindset about some things has changed. You know, it's one of those things. It's a capture in time. Like,
It's funny you say that because you know how Facebook has the memories and
mhm.
stuff. So there was a time where I had my old profile, so I had to make another profile to get to that like professional mode thing. But there there was this part in the old profile where it would bring up my memories and oh my God. I had made that account when I was like, I want to say either a senior in high school or a freshman in college. And some of the things I posted back then to now, I just wanted to like bitch slap my like throat punch myself. I was like, oh my God. Like if I met myself now at 33 and was speaking to my 19, 20-year-old self, I would deck her
Yeah.
because I just reeked of I was not. I thought I knew everything and oh my God, I did not.
I'm so glad I permanently deleted my old Facebook.
I want to.
It
Everybody
doesn't
keeps tagging
exist.
my old
Yay.
I don't want to lose the pictures. I don't want to lose the pictures. I like them all.
One of the funniest things about the movie now is, and when I recorded this portion of it, I was still, this is before I moved back. It was the portion that basically like half the movie is before I moved back, and half, it's like a third is before I moved back, a third is the trip back. And
Where were you
so it's
living?
kind of like a road movie. And then a third is back in Houston and
Where were you living prior to Houston?
uh, up in up in North Idaho and west Eastern Washington.
Got it.
So it's
Okay.
between Sandpoint, Idaho, and Spokane Valley, Washington.
Was
Yeah,
there anything to do there? Or are you bored?
No, there was plenty to do.
Oh,
I
okay.
definitely didn't come back for that reason. Oh, I miss it for that reason.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the stuff I didn't want to leave. In fact, a whole lot of the first third of the movie is me talking about why on earth do I want to leave this place? But then going through the reasons. Um, but yeah, but in the movie, there's so much talk about how I was rediscovering my love of filmmaking,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm not even really doing that. I'm like in still photography mode and happier than I've ever been with my crafty side. And I watch a movie now, I'm like, oh, that didn't last long. That changed quickly.
But not necessarily, I mean, I like to call it metamorphosis. So, it's it's not that you didn't necessarily stay within that craft. You also just learned what you liked more than film. At least if, had you still done film, you might not
I
like it
still
as much
will,
of
but
this as the still, and like you said, yes, you still are going to dabble in it, but you just also know what you've grown more with.
the thing now is I want to collaborate more. I want to come up with ideas with other people. I want to bring some, like I said, some of these guys are doing video now that are when I move back here, I'm like, whoa, look at these guys are doing.
Oh yeah.
I'm way behind on that ball because I was up north and evergreen, but mountains and not really having the. But I'm,
I wouldn't
thinking,
have wanted to live either now.
but yeah, but I moved back here and the music video these bands have now, local music videos, it's like, man, this looks way better than stuff that MTV used to show. Like you got
Oh yeah.
these filmmakers here are killing it. And I go to the film fest, I'm like, man, look at all these guys finding ways to get people together and make these amazing things. And I'm like, I fell behind the eight ball. I mean, there's a lot of reasons because it all started way before I moved away, but I
Hmm.
definitely fell behind in terms of the technology and the craft and
It's easy to fall behind
right.
though with this type of
Mm-hmm.
field. Being a content creator, a podcast host, I mean, there is something new to learn every day. There is a new Canva thing, there's a new TikTok, there's a new Instagram algorithm that you have to, make sure to wiggle your left toe, otherwise it's
Right.
going to kick you off. And I'm
Exactly.
like,
Yeah, my thought is I want to get with some of these guys and like
same.
not be like, yeah, I'll run the camera, but I want them to run their cameras. And I want us to come up with ideas and I want to be involved in, and I've done some of that too. And it's like that's really fun. It's like this guy's director, this is his video. I'm here helping him with likes because I've done that before. And
Mhm.
and I'm running one of the cameras here and I'm doing that's really fun. And if it's my thing, it's like I'd like to direct something where a bunch of us are all coming together and putting something together, and maybe I'm the editor.
Mhm.
It's they shot it with their phenomenal cameras and the eye that they have, and now we're working together on the edit,
Yep.
and I bring that old skill out. That's the kind of stuff that is in my mind now, where someone writes something and then we all
Agreed.
film it together.
I would love to collaborate with other content creators. I actually went to a brand building boot camp at the beginning of October, and the one thing that I really loved about that was I was able to one meet several, people who are in the same boat as me, kind of just getting started with different things. And then the second thing was I was able to meet very influential people that I know. Samantha Naheda, she's from the Bean and Cheesemith podcast. She's also a comedian, a stand-up comedian and an actress. I got to meet her. There was she's a new home sales consultant because it was geared to the real estate field. However, I mean, in real estate, you are your own self branding still.
Mm-hmm.
So this one other host speaker, there was she's a new home sales consultant, but her whole brand is Silly Goose, America's or home building Silly Goose or something like that. Her name's Jenna, and you got to see their passions. You got to see them. And I'm sure all of them were nervous at one point, or even then at that moment, speaking to a group of over 100 people being there, I want to say with 100 to 200 people. Um, and really just like honing in on their craft, you know, learning and wanting to show others their passions. That is actually one thing that I've been trying to do with uh, other people. However, a lot of people see you sometimes as a competition instead of a collaboration. And that's the part that I always get very frustrated with because I'm like, I want to be here to help and grow together, like, you know?
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that I discovered in the photography community was the second I was, there's always going to be somebody out there who is kind of going to just be solo and want not to work with other people or whatever. There's always going to be, let's face it, not everyone in the world's a great human being. It is what it
Mm-hmm.
is.
No.
But one thing I discovered about the photography community is so many people wanting to help each other out in a way that I was shocked. Like, you start asking other photographers for how do you do that? And you're worried that they're going to think, oh, this guy's trying to take some of my business. No, it was no, let's do this. Hey, let's do this. Like, you know how we talked about water
Mm-hmm.
and how I love getting the shots with the water and um with the my brain just went blank. With the high shutters with the high shutter
With the high
speed.
shutter, so that way you can
And
see like the
so,
water and
so you can
stuff.
see the drops, and that's something I like to do. Well, I learned to do that from my friend Kendall, who's a photographer, and he said, "You want to get good? Go shoot water." He pulled up photos he was doing of water, and he goes out and plays and he showed me all stuff, and he's like, "Go do water. Trust me." He was right. It's a whole thing, and but all the time, we're willing to help each other out. Hey, I do this and
I
I
still
do
can't
this,
believe we waited that long.
and that was funny. We're not, are we waiting on that story?
I just wanted I
Yeah,
had to touch on it. I
yeah.
was like, because now it's in the back of my head that we waited that
Sometimes you
long.
gotta wait to get the
Just
perfect shot,
waited to get the shot.
and sometimes you gotta be patient. So yeah, I discovered with that I was like, man, there's no. I mean, there's always some people that want to compete, but for the most part, and I've had, within months of me starting photography, I had one person, hey, I got this friend, they want me to photograph this event. I'm not available because I'm already photographing here. I told them to call you, and now I've got this job, and they got a job, and we're all happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a total discovery. Like, it's not like that in every field, but in still photography, I found a lot of that. And the same, and honestly, go back to video again. These guys now, they're shooting things that I never imagined like local people would be out doing for local bands
Mm-hmm.
like 15 years ago. It just, again, the world changes, technology changes, things that are available to people changes, and I'm seeing stuff they're doing. I'm like, wow. And I know a lot of them because I get along with a lot of them too, and some of them also do still photography. And I'm thinking, I bet if I said, "Hey, I've got this idea," and if they had time, they'd want to do something like that. So it's a community. It's generally a community where everyone's like, "Cool." And again, that's how I ended up on one director's set doing lighting and running one of the cameras. It's everybody's got, and I was like, you know what, this. But I also see other communities like you're talking about where it's like, man, these guys are kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
A-holes.
Unhealthy.
I'm not a-holes.
Unhealthy. Unhealthily, because there's healthy competition and then there's unhealthy competition.
Yes, that's
Like
why I said a-holes. Because I'm like, you're unhealthy. Like, who hurt you? Because I'm just trying. I'm
I,
just trying to meet you halfway.
but I felt lucky in my world where most of what I've experienced has been healthy. Like I'll see photographers, I'm like, man, that was amazing, and I'll go, like, there's a good guy named Brandon Boyd. And I'm just throwing out names. Maybe at the end I'll just list a bunch of people,
Right.
but
We'll tag you at the end.
but yeah, but Brandon Boyd is a photographer. I forget what town, so hope he didn't come. No. But out towards Louisiana.
Cool. Okay.
But he's friends with a lot of my friends, and he's photographed bar rats who, now I'm throwing band name, who several of my friends are in, and I photographed them a lot too. There was one time he shot them, and there's a very particular shot, and I said, hey, I just messaged him like, hey, that's you used the wide angle to pull that off, right? But it wasn't a typical wide angle type shot. Something that's a creative use for it. was like, that was in a wide angle. And he's like, yeah. Well, the next one that bought was a wide angle because I wanted to do shots like that.
Yeah.
But it's not like I stole from it. No, I'm like, dude, Grant,
Teach me,
I learned
Obi-Wan.
this from this guy. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even like,
Tag the credit.
I don't even like, there's no hiding. It's like, no, this was inspired by him and his work, and there's a photographer, Maurice, who passed away a few years ago. He used to come to shows and he had this great thing he used to do with wide angle. He would get this one shot of a full band on stage and he'd post that one shot and it would be the most beautiful thing you saw that week. Um, and so if when I shoot bands, I try to get a wide angle shot of the whole band on stage if there's enough space, because sometimes when the crowd's really crowded, you can't do it. When people are too thick, it's hard to get that spot. But if I can pull it off, I do it. And I stress that, hey, I learned that from Maurice. There's no, so I like that we can do that in the photography community. Like, no, I want to be able to do, so it's like, yeah, I'm inspired by this lens because I saw this guy use it to do something amazing and I want to do that. But now my way of doing it doesn't look like theirs anymore
Because you've
because
been
my
able to put,
personality comes into it.
yes,
Their personality goes into theirs, mine goes into mine. So it's like you can feed off each other and learn things, but at the end of the day, it's your art.
it is your art.
The way I use color is different from the way this person uses color, is different from the way this person uses color. And that's how, like, I have people asking me specifically, hey, I want you to shoot this because I want it to look like
Like
this.
this. Yeah.
And then they'll ask somebody else, hey, I want you to do it because I want with this to look like what you did with this. And yeah, there's no, I love that support within the community. Everyone like supports each other's artistic endeavor. So I've been lucky in that way in the photography community. So I'll never stop talking up these people.
Where do you see yourself in, let's say, 5, 10 years with your photography?
I just want to keep getting better, but I also want to do more. I want to, like, we were talking about today. I've only done one maternity shoot, and not to knock on myself, but if I did one today, I know it would be a million times better. I know they're happy with it,
Yeah,
and I was happy with
improve.
it when I did it, but I've just grown better since then. But that's the thing. I want, not that I want to think negative of anything I did, but I want every time I look back a year, I want to know that what I'm doing now is better than what I did a year. And then I want to expand into, like, I haven't done a newborn baby shoot yet, and I know that's a big thing. It's
Don't
one
come
of
looking over here.
the really though, it's like a wedding where that's an experience you get to share with those parents.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than just the photos itself. So, like, I
Well, like
remember,
that wedding we saw earlier. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
oh yeah,
Like that wedding we saw earlier.
oh yeah,
That's been a bomb ass wedding.
yeah, yeah. That was pretty amazing. And
Both the Indian
mhm,
engagement and that one with the stretch.
yeah, we were shooting in a place that's well, it's a really cool place, a lot of great locations, which is like, got what we saw, 7 or 8 different photography groups there.
Oh my God, at
And
least, well, yes, because no, more, because remember,
at
right
the
when we
end,
left,
yeah,
it was like
there were more coming in.
boom, 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 boom.
And but
Reminded,
I don't know if you noticed, all of us photographers all wave at each other.
uh-huh.
I see that's the way the photography like community is. Like literally, I was at an event, and that's how I literally, you're at an event and shooting, and someone else goes, "Hey, what lens you using?" Like,
Well, perfect example. I gave that girl a compliment, and I just thought she was so stunning. She had on this beautiful, just imagine like Jessica Rabbit, her red dress. Just imagine it was velvet black. And that is exactly what this girl looked like, with beautiful blonde hair and all the curls. And as the girl's girl, I will compliment you. I will compliment as I see fit. And she was beautiful. So I just, hey, beautiful outfit. It was great. Ugly, stink ass face. I'll take back my compliment.
stars are all waving at you. Like, hey, I showed
Yes,
you.
yes, she did. But your poochie ass, you're a poochie ass person that you're taking pictures of is poochie.
I showed you that picture when here in San Antonio at the Riverwalk last year. When I was here with Kerosene Shores. When the photographer who was at this particular restaurant was going around taking pictures of the people at tables, like offering to get them do a picture for him. You know, one of those really nice places on the Riverwalk. And as a joke, I decided to go take a picture of the photographer because I was sitting there with my cameras because I was photographing what we, as we were going along. I was just doing photographs for Kerosene Shores as we were, doing our San Antonio experience there. Um, and it turned into me and him taking pictures of each other, taking pictures of each other, and just laugh. And if I showed you the one that was my profile pic, but if you see the full wide shot, Brandon was over there standing at the bar just laughing at us. Like it was just fun. It's like, yeah, that's why I like this community. It's like literally, it's like, yeah, we're all just people that point lenses at each other, at people, and we're all like, you know,
There's
all
no,
supportive of each other. It's like it's really
exactly,
cool.
there's support and no judgment. What would you say? What would be your advice, your best advice to give to somebody wanting to start in their with their craft of photography? What would be your advice to give to the next upcoming photographer?
Don't worry about buying the most expensive camera.
Holla.
Don't worry about buying the most expensive. Do something good. Like you look at it, like say you go to a store and every, like, again, name brands, talking about Canon, Nikon,
Mm-hmm.
whichever you prefer, because everybody's got different places where they like
Preference.
the buttons and everything else. Um, but like for example, Canon has all these different series, and the other Rebel series are the lower cost camera bodies. But you can buy all kinds of lenses to put on them. And at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, the most important things are the person holding the camera,
Mm-hmm.
their eye and their ability,
Mm-hmm.
and the lens that's on it. And I learned that really quick. It's that those are the most important things. So you don't need to go out and find the most expensive buy. And again, go used. And I obviously I'd be iffy about going on like marketplace and
Mm-hmm.
somebody you don't know.
Exactly.
If
An
you think that lens could look
untrustworthy
fine,
source.
and then you go home and take pictures and discover there's scratches on the inside lens, and now you got to, you never know. So but I mean, but there are lots of stores that have used sections.
Mm-hmm.
Look, shop all that stuff. Don't break the bank, and then talk to other photographers, learn. I YouTube videos. I'll sit on YouTube and watch professional photographers talk about how they do stuff. Just all those little things that, and of course, YouTube doesn't cost you any money.
No.
All those little things, and just keep practicing, just keep doing it. And if you're like, man, this set sucked, none of my photos are in focus. Okay, fine, keep going. And obviously, don't take paying jobs so you feel comfortable. But yeah, it's just, and don't give up. Just keep doing it. And again, one thing I learned from other photographers, when you get to the editing tools, like I use Adobe Lightroom, just play with it.
Mm-hmm.
You learn what you could go through a course on what all the sliders do, but at the end of the day, move them around and see what they do.
Yeah.
And you find, you eventually find your happy place. And yeah, but never stop learning and find ways to make it as inexpensive as possible. Because, we don't all have a lot of money, but you don't have to. A lot of people assume, oh, I've got to, yeah, they see that I've got this kind of bulky, heavy 5D, but that's because I got it used on a huge
You're like, I
discount.
got it on a
I got it on
deal.
a huge discount. And then my Rebel T6 I bought from your wifey.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, but yeah, never assume it's all about it's your eye. Lenses, if you're going to spend a ton of money, spend more money on the lenses than you do
Mm-hmm.
on the body. Because, I put all kinds of really nice lenses on that T6, and those photos look good. And I
That's
put all
pretty
kinds of
cool.
lenses on the 5D, and those photos look good. But, sometimes if I'm out walking around in a environment where I don't want the big heavy thing around my neck all
Mm-hmm.
day, I'm out there with the T6 instead. And today I use both. But yeah, I said there's ways to get around breaking the bank. Don't try to get the most expensive thing. And don't judge yourself if someone else is at, like, when you shoot concerts, you're there with a whole bunch of other photographers
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. Don't judge yourself because they got this nicer telephoto lens than you. just do your thing and find your, you know, find what you're best at, and then just keep going. Just don't quit.
Agree.
That was the thing. I think that's one of the things. Is like I told you today, which is I used to have a tendency to when I picked up something new, I wanted to be great, and if it took me too long to be great at it, I'd get frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
But I photography was the thing I didn't do that with. My approach was so different. It was very all right, quite there yet, but I got complimented on this one. So what did I do here? And I just I've taken this as a continuous build, and it's been a much better experience than getting frustrated with myself. Not that I don't have shoots I get frustrated with. My boy Shane, he knows who he is. He knows what I'm talking about. He knows that there was a shoot recently that I so frustrated with. And I'm
We've
not
all
gonna
had
say why,
those.
because I'm not gonna talk bad about like things about conditions that I couldn't control. But I wasn't happy. But I wanted to make something happen from it, and I'm just like, he knows I was sending messages like, I'm so this
Like,
sucks.
ah.
Sucks. I can't do anything with this up. And then I actually took a step back and kind of started back from the beginning, and I finally found a fairly happy place with getting some decent ones from that shoot. But it's not always going to be happy. But at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, move on. I've already had multiple great shoots since then, you know. So yeah, just be patient with yourself too.
And what advice would you give for those, in their healing process for mental health, those going through those cloudy days? What would be your advice for them?
Kind of the same thing.
Just
it's
don't give up.
it's it's you got the biggest thing is honestly, to be honest, the real biggest thing is know you have a support system. That was most of the people that want to give up hit that point. It's because they think they don't have anybody, or as we like to say, they think they're a burden on everybody. They don't want to make everyone else feel bad because of their life, and they don't want anyone else to hurt because of them. And so that it's that burden thing. And what I was telling them is when you fall apart and then everyone sees it, you're actually burdening them more than if you'd asked for help when you first needed it.
Exactly. I agree.
And that's the big thing. Know you have a support system. Don't be scared to talk to them. Now, will you sometimes run across somebody that, let's face it, somebody that sucks that isn't a good support, and you discover they're not the friend you thought they were? Yeah, those people exist, but that doesn't mean you stop asking everybody. It means you stop asking that person.
That person.
Because the next one might be the one that exactly the person that helps save you. And that's what happened after my own experience when everything hit bottom and I didn't have a choice in asking for help because everyone knew what happened. All of a sudden, all those people were right there next to me, basically saying, "Why didn't you just call me?"
Mm-hmm.
And I
Because they,
discovered, right? So that's why I say, don't just know you have a support system. Reach out, ask for help, be willing to tell somebody, "Hey, this is what's going on." And if you're scared you have that, don't have that person, then call the hotline. Like there's somebody to reach out to who is willing to listen to you and let you talk your way through things. So I think honestly that one of the biggest things is we can talk our way through a lot more than we give ourselves credit for.
oh, yeah.
But you have to have the ear to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes your own answers come because you'll actually I've discovered I answer a lot of my own questions if I'm just talking about the issue.
Yep.
But you got to have the ear to talk
Mm-hmm.
to. So
The
that
right ear.
the right ear. So like I said, use your support system. I know it's easy to automatically assume you're abusing it. No, if you're genuinely looking for help and you're generally looking to correct your situation, then you're not abusing anything. You are doing exactly what you need to do when you reach out and say, "Hey, I'm in trouble." So yeah, That's the best advice I can give. Once I had my sports system back and I trusted them, my life started going right back the other direction.
I understand. And I want to make sure I have the name right on it. MVP photography, right?
Yeah, MVP, most valuable photography. I'm a my sis Sammy used to call me MVP, so I just kind of that name kind of stuck. And then when I wanted to create a new company name, it just kind of was easy. Well, the word P is in there, and that's photography. So most valuable. I had to come up with something most valuable. So it's just MVP.
MVP. Got it. Well, for anybody looking for a photographer, videographer in the Houston, Texas, or surrounding areas, I will put Derek's information for his MVP in the credits so that way you're able to go throw a like or a follow for him, give him some love. I appreciate you coming on today, giving us a little bit of insight just about you and especially about your your long film. And I do hope to be able to eventually edit the information for this show's info so that way we can definitely include that so people can check that out. And of course, guys, yes, if you are ever experiencing anything, need to talk to somebody or just are having those darker days, you there just know there is somebody always there for you. There is somebody to talk to, and especially the hotline is always there for you as well. You're not alone in any aspect. Derek, I appreciate you coming on. I look forward to having you for future episodes. Thank you for coming, to San Antonio and visiting the Gift of Gab podcast. I am hoping to get back on track with recording episodes to, of course, continue to put out every Tuesday. For the Gab Nation, we are on YouTube as well as Apple and Spotify. I mean, we're on a lot of others, but those are my main three. Make sure to throw a like or subscribe and a follow to Instagram, Facebook. Keep the engagement going. I will see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.